What's up, everybody? Episode 7 of Dharma Unfiltered. I am coming in again, as usual, from the University of Miami, here with two special guests today. Rather than just one, we're here with Saurabh Jain and Jake Robbie. They're both coming in from Wisconsin today. I think that they'll be able to bring some pretty cool content to the podcast today. And I'm not sure exactly what we're going to talk about, how professional we'll keep it, but we'll go from there. So Saurabh, if you want to introduce yourself, and then Jake after.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having us. So like Reed said, I'm Saurabh. Grew up in Wisconsin, went to University of Wisconsin, went there for 3 years, graduated with my finance degree, and then moved out to New York to work at Citigroup. So I've been out there for about 3 years now. I worked in a rotation program. So started in 2017, did 2 years on one team, 1 year on another, and then recently moved to my full-time kind of position, which is working in our credit card portfolio, doing analytics and business development for specifically our like rewards cards. So if you ever heard of like the Citi Thank You Prestige, Thank You Premier, any of those types of cards, those are kind of what I work on and analyze, I guess. So it's been interesting. I guess going back to my business background, why I got interested in doing finance in the first place. When I was in high school, I was in FBLA, which is high school organization, Future Business Leaders of America. I loved my time there. So what I did was I ended up being a state leader. I was like regional vice president in high school, and then after that, kind of took everything I learned from there and parlayed it into a finance degree, because really at the time didn't know anything else to do. I wasn't interested in like science or any of that stuff. So figured business was a move, and here we are. So, and yeah, I'll toss it over to Jake. Me and him have been friends since 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. Who knows?
Yep. Yeah. So Saurabh did a very humble job there of introducing himself. What everyone needs to know is this kid is the smartest kid that I ever met. And this is one man who always follows his dreams. Like you said, he's out working on Wall Street right now. He goes and travel. What's your goal? 100 countries by what, age 30 or something?
Yeah. So the first goal is 50 by 25. We're at 39 right now, and I turned 25 in a year and a half. So
you travel a lot for work, or like you just
no, for fun?
Or?
Yeah, just for fun. So I really a travel bug hit because I studied abroad in college. So I spent the semester in Copenhagen, and then from there, like I traveled a ton of Europe. I went to Morocco. So ever since then, like I was like, any chance I get to travel, I'm going to be out. So like with work, it's kind of tough because, you don't get that many days off and stuff. So what I've tried to do is maximize time by just taking like a day off extra whenever you have like a long weekend. So like, MLK weekend or whatever, like Columbus Day weekend, instead of having a 3-day weekend, turn into like a 4 or 5 day, which is usually enough time to, scheme a little trip over to Europe or South America. So, luckily I've been able to do a bunch of those. But yeah, so right now we're at 39, I think, 38, 39. So I need about 10 or 11 more before we get to 50 before 25. So we'll see what happens. But then ultimate goal is to get to like over 100 for sure. So we're on track. So we'll see what happens there.
What's been your favorite or couple?
Yeah, so that's always a tough question. Like, so I think the top 3 is what I usually say is Morocco, Switzerland, and Russia, actually. So I went to Russia, which, people are probably like, why the hell did you go there? I was actually there for the World Cup in 2018. So being a huge soccer fan, we got tickets to a couple games. So I was like, screw it, might as well go there. And it ended up being like super nice. I don't know if that was just because the World Cup was going on and they wanted to like portray good vibes and stuff, but like people were super friendly. Like there's a lot to see. It's actually like a pretty beautiful country. We saw a couple places. We were in Moscow and St. Petersburg. So that was a ton of fun. And then Switzerland, just because like I'm a big scenery landscape type of guy. I love taking like, pictures and stuff. So what we did was we took a train ride, and it went from Geneva to this small town called Vevey, which is actually Charlie Chaplin, where he died. That's his like resting place. So that was like a fun fact I didn't realize before we even went there. But that whole train ride, you go alongside the lakes with like the Swiss Alps in the background. So it was just like pretty sick view the whole time. Definitely the best landscape I've ever seen. And then Morocco, just because completely different culture. Never been in like a Middle Eastern country. So when I first went there, I actually went there solo. So that was my first ever like solo trip too. So just like walking around exploring for 3-4 days was pretty cool, just to kind of see what it was all about. So yeah, I'll give those my top 3, but it's hard to pick. There's just so many. Each place is so unique, so it's like different to kind of figure out what's your favorite. But yeah.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I'm from Wisconsin too, and I spent like the first 18 years in like, a very, very small town, like, where like Dousman is, like
Yeah, I've heard of it.
yeah. So like Dousman, Delafield area. But like I come down here, like I don't know, I've traveled a decent amount, like I guess out of the country. I've been to London and to Dublin and like Mexico, but it was like a resort. But like come to Miami, and like I was watching like a Joe Rogan podcast. It was funny. Someone said the best thing about Miami is that you feel like you're not even like in the country or something. Like it's just a completely you feel like you're in a different country. And coming from like Dousman, which is like all like white, like Christian, like like conservative. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but like coming here, it was like at first it was like, I wouldn't say like a culture shock, because that has like kind of a negative like connotation, but like it was just like, whoa, like this is gonna be cool. And so like this has like inspired me to be like, okay, well there's so many other places, and so I'm thinking I want to go to like South America, just because I'm working on my Spanish, and they have a lot of really good programs through Miami to spend time in South America. So that's something that I want to do in the next couple of years, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of like South American Cuban influence in Miami, which is like probably cool to experience, because like you said, in Wisconsin, you kind of, there's not that much culture here, I would say, just because like, it's, there's a lot
of culture. There's not a lot of cultures.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, Miami's cool. I've never been there for more than like a day, because I think we went out there for to like hop onto a cruise, so we just like drove around the city. But yeah, definitely someplace I want to go, because based on like what I've heard, I really want to go to like Cuba too, because it's just hard to get into that country being like a U.S. citizen. So they make it a lot tougher with their visa rules and stuff. But like, from what I heard, like about the Cuban influences in Miami, like just to go and experience the actual country would be dope. But like, yeah, dude, anytime you have a chance to like go travel, I definitely recommend it, because like I know some people are just like, curious as to like what's out there, and you don't really know until you travel and go see for yourself. Like you can only read or view so many videos, before you need to like actually see it in person to experience it. So.
And I've like spent a lot of time like by myself also, because like the train right here, so you could take the train into like Brickell, like downtown, be in downtown Miami in like 20 minutes, which is nuts. So like it's like kind of giving me the confidence to like be cool with like going by myself on different trips and stuff. Like Jamaica is one that I want to go to so many places. All right, I gotta turn on my do not disturb. Turn on do not disturb.
I've turned on do not disturb.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. All right.
No, you're good.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of places that I want to get to, but we got plenty of time.
Oh yeah, definitely. Ton of time to do it. And solo travel is one of those things where like once you do it once, it's like the first time is kind of daunting. There's like, oh shit, like what do I do on my own? Like how am I gonna get myself through the country? Like how am I gonna figure out what to do, where to go, and like not have anyone to like, just in case something goes wrong, like be on your side. But the like freedom behind solo travel is also huge. You can like do whatever you want. You can like meet a bunch of people. Like you're not stuck to anyone's schedule. So like I've done it a couple times, and everyone's always like, oh, how are you able to like travel solo? I'm like, well, once you do it once or twice, it's not too bad. And then honestly, you end up like kind of enjoying it. But I would never go for more than like a week or two, but any like small 2, 3, 4 day trips are like, that's more than enough to kind of just take some time for yourself, walk around the country, experience something different, and then come back.
Yeah. Even just walking around is like so worth it. Like, I mean, there's always like the things that like you got to see, like the big touristy things. You just got to get that out of the way. But then after that is when you like actually, I feel like that's when you start to really like spending time in the country. After that is when you start to really understand the country, because you see like, for example, Rio, Miami, like
exactly,
not just going to not just going to South Beach and Brickell and
Mhm.
actually getting into some like cooler neighborhoods.
For sure.
A lot of travel.
Yeah, we cut off Jake's intro there. So
No, that's
let's finish
okay.
that
That's
one up.
okay. We'll do a commercial break. It's coming in right now. Yep, we got the official, actually the greatest catch up, please, right here. So good, I couldn't even wait on it.
Whoa!
And no, actually though, this is like the third bottle too.
What is that?
I have people at my house all the time, and they don't go for the Heinz. They go for this every time. And running out. I actually had to hide some in the bottom cabinet because it's gold.
Damn.
So yeah, there's your KP commercial.
Don't
right
forget
there.
about Oshtourage.
Oh yeah, Oshtourage right here. So I'll get into that when I kind of talk about myself here. So, I grew up in Menomonee Falls with Saurabh. One of the things that was actually my greatest blessing is I grew up and had two separate families. So I grew up having two different perspectives of everything and twice the support, which is something I'm ultra grateful for. And it's really led up to everything that I've done in my life to this point. So full-time financial advisor. Today's actually my 5-year anniversary of being a financial advisor with Northwestern Mutual. Loving that, helping people reach their dreams every day. That's like my goal. That's my purpose. That's kind of what Oshtourage represents. Like the slogan that we came up for the Oshtourage is the way to live life. It's all about channeling your highest being, whatever it is you want to be, who you want to be, and just really manifesting and making it a reality. So that's kind of what the Oshtourage is. What else? What else do we do? We make music. We've made over 850 songs, like 20 mini series, movies. We're trying to get into all that entertainment stuff. So really I play in all the different fields here. Sometimes it can be challenging because, I got a million things going on at once, but that's kind of what my ADHD mind is just built for. So I make the best of it. We're helping a lot of people. One of the things that's been like probably the coolest and most rewarding is, friends will bring in friends who are at low points in their life. And you'll see after them hanging out with us for 1 week that these guys will be completely new people. Like their whole selves have changed. Their outlook on life. And then that goes and just spreads. So, the Oshtourage's mission here is just to spread that light, that positivity, just to help everyone remember like why we're here. We're not here to just, work away, follow orders, not do what we want and be unhappy. We're here to actually be in peace, create the things that we want, enjoy and love and get back and all that kind of stuff. So I guess that's kind of just me and what we do in a nutshell here. But yeah, I was also kind of curious, we all have different backgrounds, had a lot of different experiences. I kind of want to hear each of you guys speak to, what was like your biggest finding or learning in life, as far as it goes, like with happiness, what is something that you've kind of learned throughout your time that would maybe be beneficial for like the listeners to hear,
Yeah, I guess I can speak to that. So like probably like going into senior year, like I spent all of like last school year and pretty much all of the summer mentally in like a really shitty place. Like I just felt like I couldn't explain it. I guess it was like a super like foggy, like super cloudy in my head and stuff. And I was trying to figure out what it was. I was trying to figure out, am I partying too much or what am I? I just could not figure it out. I was completely drained at the end of every single day. And obviously, the partying and the landscaping for 8 hours a day in the sun wasn't really helping, but it was just something that I felt like I had to do because that's a different story. But I was like struggling for like a long time, like probably over a year. And then I came down here and I was still not in like the mental place. I was so lost, I guess. Like I was so like building Catch Up Please. I'm working, Superior Services, our landscaping business, doing a ton of things over the summer. But that's all I was doing. All I was doing was working. And I felt like, for me personally, like I needed to be applying myself like elsewhere. So I came down here and I was like, okay, like I'm looking forward to this. I'm going to completely kind of not redefine, but like, I guess define like who I am. And so I got down, I still wasn't in like the exact place that I wanted to be. I got COVID like move-in day. So I'm like moving in, I have like some symptoms And I'm like, fuck, like we need to. So my mom was down here with me. We get tested. 2 days later, we both get positive results. So but I'm looking back on it. This is the greatest thing that has ever happened to me because my mom, so she was still here, and obviously we both had to quarantine. So we got a place up about 30 minutes north of here in Hollywood, like on the beach, like a nice like Airbnb for whatever the 10-day quarantine.
Nice.
And I used that. I used that to really kind of find myself. Like I deleted Snapchat, and that kind of that was like a crazy shift because I didn't realize how much time that I was spending on Snapchat that was just a complete waste of time, and other apps too. Those 10 days I spent a lot less time on my phone. I spent a lot of time just like literally laying on the beach, getting a ton of sun, like the sea, like that shit's healing. Snapchat's not healing. Looking at what other people are doing isn't healing. So that my brain just completely shifted, and I figured out that when in doubt, for me at least, and I think for a lot of people, like just giving yourself time to think, like because before there were smartphones, that's what people did. Like people didn't have anything else to do. They just thought like
had time to be mindful.
Right. Even if it's just walking, like when I'm walking around campus here, everyone's on their phone. Like I'm just walking. I'm just a fucking human. I'm just walking.
You're simply being.
Already simply being, and that's
the key to life.
At an advantage, and it's crazy. And so I guess that for one thing, and then two, I think just giving myself a completely different change in lifestyle, and also like my way of living helped a lot, because again, I went from driving around like all the time, landscaping all over the place, mentally all over the place, physically all over the place, to now I can see my entire life right in front of me in my dorm room. Like it's crazy. And so it's like, it sounds like normal, but it's crazy to me. And it's like, I'm the most efficient I've ever been. I can focus on my life. I can focus on the things that I need to do. So I guess that like, just literally over the past, I guess like 4 to 5 months has been the biggest shift for me.
Yeah. One of the, what you kind of just said there stood out to me. It's, you got all this right here. This is, you got everything you need around you. And the thing is life is as easy as pulling that curtain aside and realizing, okay, you have the power to do whatever you want, change whatever you want. People think that they're trying to go through life figuring out who they are. That's not what's going on. You're creating who you want to be. So that's why I say, and a lot of these people, when they come around, their souls feel damaged, and then all of a sudden a week here and they're back up. It's because they learn that every day you create yourself anew. We're not here to discover who we are. We're creating, We literally seek and determine who we want to be. And the thing is a lot of people, as they grow up, they have this idea of their ego, who they should be in their head. And the problem with that is that anytime something happens where it's off, they just feel off. They don't feel like themselves. And so one of the biggest things that I've learned is just no matter what, be yourself. And like you said, sometimes you got to cut the cords and other things so you can just simply be yourself, be mindful. And like I said, it comes down to creating yourself, but then also using your powers to create everything in this world. That door didn't exist until somebody made it. It's crazy that we can communicate through some waves and internet, and we're all in different locations. Like nothing ever happens until you make it happen, so that's one of my focuses too. And that's why I do all this stuff, is it's like, I just want to keep creating, because that's what makes me happy too. But then just simply being, and just realizing that the peace is inside. No one can steal your peace. No matter what someone says about you, that can't hurt you, because that's separate. That's their that's their perception. That's the other thing I learned too, is everyone's got different perceptions of everything. So you shouldn't get upset the way someone thinks, or, and you don't want people to understand you either, because then you're just doing what everyone else does. You're never going to be great. So yeah,
a lot of the things that you said, obviously, like I'm completely like in tune with, but like most people would like say, okay, yeah, that sounds great. Like, yeah. And then society and like what I call like the matrix makes it like basically goes against everything that you're saying, and makes that so hard. That's why that's why there's so many people that are feeling like that, because we
posted those answers around the Menomonee Falls on signs, so people could just like be mindful, or like just random things that said like, have a great day. Like we realized we could influence the consciousness of all these different people as they drove by and drove into the neighborhood and said, oh, this neighborhood's blessed. Yeah. I knew from the beginning that some of these, which spoke the truth, would be taken down. And that's exactly what happened. The ones that had true truth in them were completely taken out. I don't know who took them or
Okay,
what.
my question is, did you just put them on like street corners, or like did you put them in people's yards, or like how did?
It was a little bit of everything. You know, we tried to put it where someone wouldn't be able to take it. You know,
Yeah.
and so we put them in the busiest of places, and we put them in just neighborhoods that we live in. So.
Yeah. Because I really like that idea, and I talked to Evan and then Austin, my landscaping business partner, and I said we should like create some signs, and I don't know how we're gonna do it, whether we're gonna do it like professionally, and then throw the, KP logo and the Superior Services Wisconsin logo right up there, just for affiliation. But yeah, no, I think that that's something that we're probably gonna do like this winter, like December, down in Lake Country area.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Saurabh, you, like I said, man, you're like the smartest man. I swear you got it figured out. I know you'll say you don't, but what do you got to
I
speak
don't know,
to?
man. We're just faking it till you make it. That's pretty much what I'm doing. But no, I think I'll echo a lot of what you guys said. But of course, like one of the things I think people are scared to do is kind of deviate from the social construct or the social template. Like, you have to do certain things by a certain age, or you have to do certain things at a certain time, or if you don't, like, your life might not go the way it's supposed to go. Like,
You got to wait to do something. So, yeah.
Exactly, or like a certain way to do something. And society has like built these, I guess, informal templates that everyone wants to follow. Like, get a job by 22, get a job right after you graduate, or go to a 4-year school. And that might not be the path for everyone, though. Like sometimes you have to kind of deviate from the norm to do what you want, to kind of, focus on who you want to be, like what you want to do. If you want to make something, and it's tough to do that because all the pressures are telling you to not do that, right? So like everyone's saying that you have to go to college, you have to get a job, you have to do this, you have to do this. And if you don't do everything, people are like, oh, well, what is this kid doing? So
Right.
I guess at some point, like what I realized was like, I mean, and I'm part of the social template too. I followed it pretty strictly. Like, I went to school, I got a job right out of college. Like, luckily everything worked out. But at the same time, like, I've tried to find ways to kind of deviate from that norm. And I think that's where like all my traveling stuff that I do has really brought me like more happiness in the last few years than I had before. Not to say that I was ever unhappy, like this is just a feeling I didn't know was possible until I went down and experienced these new things. So like, I find myself happiest in an airport or like on a plane, just because I know I'm either going somewhere or I'm coming back from somewhere, or just like looking at all these people coming from or going to some place, and you have no idea like what they're doing. And I think one of the coolest things about that is just sitting and people watching at an airport, because you can just take a step back and be like, I'm just like, I'm on my way to whatever, a trip, but you like look at other people and you're like, I have no idea what that person's doing or what that person's doing. You kind of get curious about like other people's stories and like what they're doing. So I think just putting yourself in places where, put yourself in situations where you want to be. Like, don't follow the pressures or like the norms if you don't want to do that. Like, that's not for everyone. So if you can, or if you want to do something, go do it. Don't like hold back. Like, don't let the fear of failure hold you back, because at the end of the day, like, you get one life. You don't want to really waste it doing things you don't want to do, because, and it's a pretty cliche thing, and it's hard to like kind of change your lifestyle to follow it. But people always say you don't want to be on your deathbed and regret things that you did, like, or things that you didn't do. Like, no one sits on their deathbed saying, I'm glad I did all this X, Y, and Z stuff. People sit on their deathbed and they're like, shit, I wish I did this, I wish I did that. Like, I'm mad at myself that I didn't do that. So like, I guess as much as you can, because it's not like no one's perfect and it's hard to do it, but as much as you can, like, try and live your life to be able to not have that many regrets when you're like older. Like, that's why I try and travel as much as I do now, because who knows, 20 years from now, like, knock on wood, everything's fine now, but what if you get like, you get into a car crash and you can't walk, or like you get into like, you get some sort of disease and you can't, like, you're in a hospital bed for 10 years. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. And people are like, oh, you have so much time, you'll always be able to do it. But like, that's not necessarily the case. Like, no one expects to get into a life-changing car crash. That just shit like that just happens. So like, as much as you can, do what you want when you want to do it, and not let like the pressures of society kind of hold you back, I guess. Would be the overarching message. But at the same time, that is super hard to do. But if you're able to find that balance, I think that's the that's how I've been able to kind of,
Yeah.
be happy and
I
kind
like what you said about
do
like
as much as I can.
deviating like from the norm when you're like within the norm. Like this is like I'm within the norm like right now. Like
Yeah.
freshman in the main dorm at Miami, but continuing to just like you guys both said, just like be yourself, and don't let like the people around you change who you are. Like I like to think that I'm the same person all the time, whether I'm by myself or with a couple close friends or at a party with 100 people. Like I'm always the same person, and a lot of people aren't. Like it's easy, like naturally it's like when you're around different people, like you tend to
You
like,
change it.
you change definitely.
Yeah.
And so just and what I think about in like the professional world, like the academic world, I was listening to the I can't think of Joe Rogan podcast with Godsod or something. I don't know. There's one recent, but he's like he's an academic. I think he's a professor, but he's very anti like traditional academic. And basically what they were talking about is in like academia, like there's this like thought bubble that like puts like the other like all these academics and each other on like a pedestal that like this is the way that it has to be, and that's actually like anti-academic, anti-intellectual, like intellectual academics should be like learning from everyone, like just learning from the world and like not just from textbooks. Like textbooks are great, but you can walk outside and learn the same shit. It's all your the way you look at it.
Yeah, I think
just different
like
ways
the
of learning.
schools, I think these schools are almost not becoming obsolete, but kind of like I just had my sister here. She was asking, what should she do for a major? She wants to travel and be like an influencer. They don't teach that in college. And I'm like thinking, what are the skills? You got to be able to, deal with e-commerce and all that kind of stuff. That is the future. That's where like a lot of these business owners are going, especially with Corona. Everything's online now. They're not even teaching us that. And that's why, like, I think the number one trait of pretty much every successful entrepreneur is their ability to non-conform.
Yeah,
and obviously you deal with a lot of pushback, and that can be stressful, and you're going to question yourself, but you have to remember that what you're doing is right. Every decision you've made is because that was best for you in that moment.
I think it's like a fast track to like finding yourself too. Like if you're like I'm my purest form of myself like right now, and each day I become more and more like pure, I guess.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, like at the same time, like Jake, like you said, people are they're trying to figure out what to do, and like this thing that I think holds a lot of people back is that like fear of failing. But what a lot of people don't realize is that like, and like I'm not at all an entrepreneur, like so like you guys know this way more than I do, but like a lot of times like no one's successful on their first try, right? Like you have to do things like 5, 10, 15, 20, sometimes 50 times to even get to the result. Like Bill Gates didn't make Microsoft in one night. Like he just did that after failing a bunch of different times and figuring out what worked. So like, to that, and that's another thing that goes against like the norm. Like failure is supposed to be a negative thing. Like, so it's not supposed to be like, something that's encouraging. When you fail at something, like you get a 50 on a test, you're not like, oh shit, like that went really well. Like it's a discouraging thing to go through failure. But if you can push through that, in any aspect of life, whether it be like academics, like work, personal stuff, like if you can push through failure, on the other side of that usually is like what you were looking for. So it's like trying to get over that mental barrier, I guess, is tough, and it's something that everyone can work on. I work on it. I'm sure you guys have to push through failures. So like, but once you realize that failing is not the worst thing in the world, and kind of get used to that, then you can it kind of opens up your path to becoming a little bit more successful, probably.
Yeah, I was also just thinking this as you were talking. It's kind of a question. It's a little bit on the top, a little bit off. How do you maintain your Saurabh level of focus when doing like anything? That's what I want to know. How do you seem to always be able to sit yourself down, get through something, do it well, no matter how long. I'm someone who sits down, I look at what I want or supposed to do, and then I think about what I want to do, and that's creating something through this, So I'm curious what kind of goes through your mind that holds you to the things that you believe that you should do.
Well, so I guess there's a couple ways to answer the question. So when it comes to like my personal life, when it comes to like doing what I want to do, I just have a goal in mind and I just somehow make my way there, right? So whether it's I want to travel to this place, or I want to, I want to accomplish this by this date. So when it comes to traveling, and I always go back to that example just because that's like my main, outside of work, like thing I love doing. So say like, I want to go, travel to Africa next year, whatever it might be. So what I do is I like pick my spot and I do a bunch of research and I figure out everything I want to do there. And then I kind of take it from there. I just like, I focus on, I figure out what I want to do, and then I find steps to like get me there. So when it comes to that, it's like, searching like the best places to stay or like the cheapest flights or whatever it might be. Like just sitting there and like having small goals will get you to your bigger goals, right? So like I never think about planning a 4-week trip and thinking it's like going to be like, oh, it'll be super easy. Let me just plan it all. I'll be done in like 2 days. Like the amount of planning and everything that goes into that kind of stuff, you have to like work towards small milestones, and then eventually that'll build up to like your bigger picture, right? So just focusing on getting the next task done instead of getting everything done is kind of what keeps me focused, I guess. So like when it comes to work, like there's always a ton going on. I have like a bunch of different projects, different ththings I need to work on. So what I found helpful was just like making a to-do list every day, every morning. Like this is what I want to finish today. This is going to be my like goal. Whether it's like small items, big items, whatever it is. But like what I usually do is I start with like a couple small things right off the bat and then check those off. And that just gives me like kind of a feeling of like, oh, I actually accomplished something today. It gives me the motivation to kind of move on to the topic that's a little bit more complicated, might be more complex. So like breaking down a big thing into smaller pieces and then focusing on achieving those smaller pieces is kind of how I get a lot of my stuff done with work and personal life. So just like, you can't like, you can't go from 0 to 100 right away. You have to go to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 in between. So without doing those small things, you'll never get a big project done. So I think keeping focus on those is, I found it to be more productive. Because like the first year I worked, I was just like scrambling all over the place. I was like, damn, I have 7 different things to do. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know when I'm going to finish it. Like I don't have time for it all. But once you start like writing things down and checking them off one by one, you find it like a lot easier to finish what you're trying to finish. So I guess that's what I found to be the most helpful in the last like couple of years ever since I started working.
You guys do any like sort of like meditation or any practices that help you guys bring a front like your highest self to make sure that you're acting in that frequency? Is there something you read? Do you pray? What is it that like kind of like keeps your spirits full and makes you guys feel as you?
I mean, to be honest, I don't really do any. I don't really like do anything. Like I don't really like. I don't know. I guess I don't really like go out of my way, but I guess it's like I try to make it like a constant thing, like just like a constant lifestyle thing. So it's like there's not like certain time. Like I hate thinking about like peak me. Like I just want to always kind of be peak me. But there's but also while being realistic, like there's times when I'm just not going to be peak read.
But
like, there's no such thing as peak because like there's always obstacles that, like this is just like it's just natural. Like there's always things that are holding us back, whether they're like minor or major. But I guess like in terms of trying to like keep my like vibrations as high as possible, I guess number one, definitely the things that I'm doing. So like yesterday I felt not as good as most days because our math teacher assigned like 4 math assignments for the week instead of usually 2. So like Evan and I were up until like 11:30 last night, like grinding out math. We're going to be doing the same thing tonight, but it's just like when I'm occupied doing like those types of things, my mind isn't like as good, as efficient, because like if I'm working on KP or like a business or like what I actually want to be doing, I feel a lot better. Number 2, definitely like just like the people I'm surrounding myself with. You are the combination of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And so there's always like, I find like I'm pretty selective about who I spend my time with. And I find like everyone provides value in a different way. There's definitely value in having some friends that aren't necessarily per se pushing, like really, really like, I guess, pushing you, but rather they're just sometimes there's always room for fun, right? There's always room just to have some buddies that you just, you know, hang out with, watch a game, whatever. And number three, I guess, like health. Like if you have everything, if you're eating the right things, if you're exercising, everything else mentally will kind of follow.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
good.
I don't
So,
really do yoga or that kind of stuff. I've been wanting to get into yoga, but kind of like what Reed said, I don't want to like set aside a certain time of my day for like 20 minutes a day to be like, this is my peak, and then compare everything to that, right? So I
right.
think one of the things that I do is just like try and find the like happiness in situations where like people normally wouldn't. So like just like small stuff, you know, like I guess just, you know, watching a game or just like taking time to like, I haven't read in years, honestly, so I need to like get back into that. But like for some people, it's like reading a chapter of a book that they like, or like listening to a song, or just like taking 5 minutes to sit back and not do anything and kind of just close your eyes and relax. Like just like finding happiness in small stuff like that, like I think is helpful. And that'll keep like throughout the day, that'll just kind of keep you going probably. And going back to like, you know, the airport example, like a lot of people wouldn't think to just sit there and like people watching is a fun thing to do, but just like, you know, sitting there and like seeing how like just like the world kind of go past you and taking a second to step back and just, you know, chill out for a second is I think what kind of keeps me going too, I guess, just because, you know, you can't always be go all the time. You have to take, you know, a few minutes to step back, you know, reset and then get back at it. So yeah, I mean, there's things I could probably get into to try and like, you know, get to a higher peak. But at the same time, I mean, you know, I'm lucky to not be, you know, super stressed about many things in life right now. So I'm just kind of going with the flow and taking it as it goes. And then one thing though, I will say is like not letting things that are out of your control impact how you're feeling. Cause like if things like if you have no control on something, and you let it kind of affect you negatively, I think that's like one of the worst things you can do. And sometimes it's like you can't control it. That's just human nature. But you know, for example, if you know, all right, arbitrary example, if you're like applying to jobs and you've done everything you can do, you like put in a good interview, you know, your resume is in good shape, all that kind of stuff. You get to the interview, you think the interview went well. A week later, you find out you didn't get it. So like, yeah, that's disappointing. But at the same time, after you put in your best effort, it's out of your control, right? Like you can't do anything about it. So you just have to kind of be happy enough or content with the fact that you put forth your best effort and kind of, you know, move on to the next one. The way like, if the way you think about it is like, if you put in your maximum effort at something and it doesn't work out the way you expected it to, then that's just like bad luck. Like life happens, shit happens, you know, like you can't really control that. So as long as you put in your best effort towards accomplishing what you want to accomplish, eventually you'll get to where you want to be. So don't let like things out of your control affect your mindset or affect your motivation, as hard as that might sound.
Yeah, I think one of the best quotes that I've been living by the last few days kind of goes along that too. But as far as channeling that person that you want to be now, you know, in the now moment, but also in the future, is be that person who you want to meet. And I remember, I don't know who said that, Reed, maybe it was you, I don't know, but someone told me be the person that you want to meet. And ever since then, you know, I kind of picture that in my mind as I have a conversation with someone, or if I think about doing something for someone, I'm like, you know, yeah, I wouldn't want them to do that, so I'll do that. You know what I mean? I think that's important. But I guess one last thing in 20 seconds, what's your guys's like biggest thing on your bucket list? Like what's like that all-end goal you're working on? What's that big bucket list item?
Just impact as many people as possible in a positive manner, and that happens through traveling. God, now you got me on traveling. Now I want to travel.
Dude, yeah. Dude,
because
people have told me that.
Like, reach. It's just reach too. If you actually want to like do work, you know, it's just a completely different, like it's like a completely different demographic. Like I just started like, I mean, like for example, like Spanish, like I started learning Spanish in 6th grade, and like now I'm like pretty much, I would say I'm almost fluent. And like before coming down here, it's like, this is like a completely different world. Like in this Home Depot I was just at, like it was like literally I think I was the only white person there. Like it was all like I only heard Spanish. Like I only heard Spanish. So like you just have to like adapt to like the environment you're in. But yeah, no, I guess that.
I think mine would be to just like inspire people to travel and see the world and experience new things, kind of jump out of their comfort zone. Which, you know, that can be as easy as just like having a friend tag along with me on some of my trips, or just like having conversations and like, you know, getting people excited about travel. Cause I think people, you know, no, don't always realize that how big the world actually is and how much there is to look at and experience and do. And just like, you know, it's very fulfilling to be able to see and experience new things, and to be able to, I guess it would be even more fulfilling to get other people to do the same thing. So that's kind of my serious one. And then as a fun one, my big bucket list item is to go to Antarctica one day. So trying to figure out a way to scheme a trip there, take like an expedition or something. But yeah, that I'll, you know, a serious and a fun one. But
Yeah,
Jake, what about you?
that's cool. Well, I guess since you guys listed yours, I mean, you guys both know this, but the Oshtourage, we're about building heaven on earth here. So like when I was like 5, we used to play in the court with chalk and draw all those cities and stuff. And I drew the Millionaire Estates, which is a neighborhood that represents heaven on earth for us. So my goal with, you know, everyone here that I'm friends with and we'll meet along the way is to have them build the businesses that they want. So like Oshtourage represents the businesses of businesses, and all in all, it's everyone being successful together, because you don't want to be in it alone. There's no point in me being in a mansion when my buddies, you know, having a problem over here, you know? So I want to make sure that's like my end bucket list. Everyone in this neighborhood, it represents, you know, heaven on earth. We've all made it. And it's just, you know, us being and living our highest selves. So that's what I would say.
yeah, to go off of that, there's a quote from How I Met Your Mother. Great show, by the way,
Yeah,
where Barney says, nothing's legendary unless your friends are there to see it, or something like that. Like, unless your friends are there to experience it with you. So I think that's a huge thing. Like, you could have the most money in the world. You could have, you know, the biggest yacht, the biggest house, whatever, just like you said, Jake. But like, if you're just in it alone, like, what's the point? You know, you want to experience that with your friends, your family, with the people you love. So like, you know, getting to the point where you can all kind of get there together, I think, you know, that'd be huge.
Exactly. It's like I said, I always used to want to buy a Porsche, and I thought about it, and people like, oh, you're so materialistic. But then I came to realization that it's not about the material thing. It's, I would never buy a Porsche until I am secure, my family's secure, my friends are good. That represents a point in my life where we can finally start doing things greater than the way we are, because everyone's taken care of, you know.
And I think the
It's not about
Porsche
material
doesn't.
thing.
I think the Porsche, like as a material thing, like almost like I'm gonna buy a Tesla. That's gonna be the first car that I buy. But like that's gonna represent like all the work that I put into it. So every time
Exactly.
I
It's
look
like
at
your
that
brand.
Tesla, every time that I drive that every single day, it's like, okay, yeah, well I worked for it. So there's
Exactly.
nothing better. There's nothing better than like feeling the seeing and feeling and actually, I don't have the bottle of ketchup on me, but I was gonna say eating the fruits of your own labor.
And
Yes,
having your
But
friends and people you don't know eating the fruits of your own labor
yes, sir.
and loving it.
yes,
Yeah, and
sir.
it brings people together too. So
Yeah.
there's a quote that kind of shift gears, but going back to what Saurabh was saying before, in the podcast with Daniel Showman, you guys should listen to that. It was we talked a lot about kind of our conversation before, just about like finding happiness and stuff. And he said that he heard a quote, the meaning of life is everything. So like it's literally like in every moment, no matter if it's you at your technically lowest or like at your highest, whether you're at like a club like partying it up, or whether you're cleaning a toilet, like it's everything. You learn from everything. Everything is enjoyable. Like this thing we're doing, this podcast right now, like just being able to like tune everything else out and just be fully absorbed is like, it's everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like you said, with you know, what your first car is gonna be a Tesla when you buy that, like that'll be, you know, your treat to yourself of being like, you know, everything I worked for, this is, you know, when I drive it, that's like the fruits of your labor, right? So to flip that into just like an experience lens, like, you know, you can do the same thing with experiences. Like you work hard and then you take that, you know, massive trip that you want to do, or you know, you go and you know, like you go do an activity you never thought you would do. So like finding, I guess, like finding things that you want to experience or buy after like you've worked hard is things that you'll, you know, always remember. I guess just like
Yeah.
don't just buy something because you want to buy it. Like you can of course like do that, but like when it comes to big stuff like that, like make sure that you've worked for it. You don't just like, I guess get a loan from the bank and then just buy it because, it's something you really want, not something you've earned, I guess. So, it feels a lot better to like drive around in that dream car or like go on that dream bucket list trip if you've like put in a ton of work to get there and not like, have and just like, pay for it with like your own hard work and stuff. So it's a lot more fulfilling, I'm sure. So.
And a lot of people like it depends like also like what your purpose for like wanting it, like your why for like why do you want to buy it. Like a lot of people, it's deep down, it's not really because they actually I love everything about it. But a lot of people, I think it's about like impressing others and like
exactly.
Not about that.
Yeah, like don't buy something because you want to show it off. Like buy it because you want it, because you worked for it, not because you think like, oh, my friends will think I'm cool if I have like a Tesla or a Porsche. Like,
yeah, it's not cool to flex on people that don't have as much as you.
At that point, you kind of just look like an asshole.
That's how you find like real connections or friends anyway. Like that's how you find like, other people that are gonna try to like use you for shit because they see that you got money.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, that's exactly it. What's one piece that you want to leave everybody with before we wrap us up?
Me?
Everyone. I just want to make sure we get our one piece of something that we want, to get out there. I'll start if you want. I got it.
Yeah, you go first.
All
right. I said what I want to do is I want to encourage everyone who's listening to go out or even sit right here, wherever you are, but I encourage everyone to do whatever they can to alter the universe. That means normally you drive in one way, take a different way. Normally you do something this way, do it differently. Put up signs that are positive, that will influence people in their days. Like just do something that switches up the universe. I mean, that's what we're here to do is, split the universe. So just do things that are almost against the norm, but that better things. So.
Right. I guess I'll say, and just, I guess I'm kind of vibing with like to go off like what we've been talking a lot like about today is just like staying real, staying true to yourself. Because like you become not who you are, obviously, when you change who you are to impress others. And when you change who you are, it's usually like a worse version of yourself, because I mean there's people that can, like me and like you guys, like a lot of people can read right through that. And like
right.
Look at a lot of these kids here and like a lot of people, like you're a clown, like you're literally that's not you. Like that's not you deep down. So like staying real, staying you will get you like the furthest, further than anything else, I think. Both
it's the only way to be happy yourself too.
In happiness in personal life and in like business and like I guess work too. So
makes people want to meet you.
Right.
I would say I'd encourage people to just go and try something new and experience something they haven't before. So if it's simple as just eating at a restaurant that you've never been to before, or trying that new food, or like Jake said, like driving down the street a different way. Like I would say trying new things and opening yourself up and getting out of your comfort zone, whether it be as small as just like a new cuisine or as big as traveling to a new country when things open up in the next year or two. Find a way to get out of your comfort zone and try something new, and you'll be surprised as to how impactful that is on you. So that's that'll be my word of advice, I guess.
Yeah, definitely like getting out of your comfort zone is just like, obviously that's like where all the growth happens.
Yeah.
You have to stop thinking and you have to start doing. That's one of the things that I figured out is people just think and thoughts are just made up things on top of, like, if you're thinking about a thought which isn't even a real thing in the first place, and you're constantly just making up the stuff in your head when the end result is to simply just do it. If it fails, it fails. We learned failure is not a bad thing. It's a great thing because now you have experience that no one else has, you know what I mean? And you're only going to get better and stronger from it. So as long as you keep that, hard mind, and you're good.
Everything's made up. Just remember that, I guess. Remember everything is made up, literally.
These laws that we live by, the everything here is made up. You know what I mean? Words.
Failure. The word failure is made up. Like labels. Like I don't want to be known as an entrepreneur. Like I'm just doing. Like you said, I'm just doing what I want to do. Who cares? Maybe it's sure you made a word for it, but the definition of that might not be me. Like I'm just me. Like on my LinkedIn thing, my LinkedIn header, they're making me like the school, the business school. This is what's scary. This is a scary thing because the business school as like one of our assignments for our classes, like we have to create a LinkedIn. We have to like fit all these guidelines on the LinkedIn. Like most of these kids haven't even like had a LinkedIn. Like, so they're just connecting with each other, whatever. We got to have 30 connections, but like there's all these guidelines for what the header needs to be. And before I literally had my header, I had it as me. And then, but I changed it. I did it so it's a little bit more conforming, but it.
Well, you should have heard the ones I've played with. They're bad, but they're real.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like your header on your LinkedIn, how much that actually means.
You just define yourself. It's like a whole new reality in person that you just create yourself on those networks.
Yeah. And are you like the same person in business or in like work as you are like outside? Like I think now, especially with COVID, it's kind of blending the two, and I love that. Like
me too.
You do what you want to do, both. Like it's a lifestyle thing. You just work like it's a complete blend of work and life. Like you shouldn't have to be slaving part of the day and then go home and then get hammered. Like you should be like working on something that you want to do while getting hammered, if that's
right. Great something.
But
yeah, I think a good way to kind of wrap up like what we've been saying is like find comfort in being uncomfortable. And I know that's like a saying out there, but like that's where, like Reed, like you said, like that's where the most growth happens, is when you're uncomfortable with something, or like you're not completely sure about it. So finding comfort in an uncomfortable situation, like, you want to start a podcast, but you're too scared about what people will think. Well, you won't know until you try. And if you start it, then you'll see what happens. And if you embrace the process and get used to being more, comfortable with things that are typically uncomfortable, like you'll grow a lot as a person. So that's I feel like a good way to consolidate everything that we've been saying about doing what you want and getting out of your comfort zone and kind of just being you instead of being a label.
Exactly. I also think your head creates that comfort zone almost. So you should be following like your gut, not your head. Don't give what you want to do and what you have a desire to do time in your mind to think and contradict all the reasons why you should or shouldn't do it. You should just do it. You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah. The first step is to just start. You like, once you start, then you'll figure out what's going to happen, but you can't think about an outcome before you even started the process.
Exactly. And like, no matter what happens, like if you actually think about it, like back to what's actually real and stuff, like it's a hard truth. And I don't think people want to admit it, but like none of this shit really matters. Like we're building this just because we want, but we don't have to, you know what I mean? Like,
but I think I'm going to just play the devil's advocate here, but I think all of it matters because we only have this one life. So like we might as well try to go out and like make as much impact as possible.
Exactly. Yeah, it's definitely like they're like one and the same though. You know what I mean?
I know exactly. It's like, yeah, you just have to find the balance and when you're, for example, ketchup, like when you're working on this thing, like I keep this right here, like this little Heinz packet from the dining hall, because at the end of the day, I know, but just ketchup, man. And like a lot of this, it's like, when people like I haven't been stressed in a long time just because I've been doing the things that I want to do and not really like worrying about what other people think. And like that, like, don't overthink things. Just like I trust my experiences. I trust the people that I know. I trust everything that I've been through to the point where now I can trust myself and I can pretty much trust my intuition on everything that I do.
Yep. Simply do what you want to do. Do you?
Yeah. Well, I think this was very, very good podcast today. Thank you both for being on. We should definitely do it another time for a part 2, round 2 on the KP commercial.
Yo, I'm not even capping right now. I'm pretty sure like a lot of us have definitely just tried spoonfuls of this and it's good enough just as is. And I would never do that with ketchup. That sounds disgusting.
Oh, I got videos. I got videos of guys like, taking a knee and chugging that shit.
Oh yeah, you honestly can. It's crazy. You guys, I'm not even kidding. You guys really did make a product here that is so amazing and just it's good. Like it sells itself. So props to you guys. I'm excited to see where this goes. If you think about it, it's already happening. It's just a matter of time. So you realize how awesome this will turn out for you. So keep it up, man.
Thank you.
One last plug. If anyone's looking to read something, I'm just about to start this. It's a book that's pretty similar to what we've been talking about today. It's called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. A counterintuitive approach to living a good life. So
who is that by? I feel like I've heard that.
Mark Manson. So it's a pretty popular book out there about like lifestyle and how to like kind of, what we were talking about, like be uncomfortable, deviate from the social norm. I'm sure there's a ton of stuff in there about that. So I'm going to start it soon. I'll keep you guys posted on how it is, but yeah, it's a little plug if anyone's looking for some reading material.
As a financial advisor, everyone should read Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's the beginning of everything, and then talk to me.
Great book.
There you
Intelligent
go.
Investor, also a great book. I haven't read that one.
This is what, Jake. This is the one I was telling you about. I mean, I'm just getting into it, but it's about a boy who's trying to like find himself, and he basically goes through the struggle of like stripping himself of all self. So like he goes on a journey with his
ego
friends.
death or what?
What?
Like an ego death or what?
Kind of like that. Yeah, he's just like suffering basically to the point where like it's not suffering anymore. Like he's just him. Basically an ego death, like times a million.
Interesting.
All right,
man. This has been good. Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
For sure. Let's do it again.
All right.
All right.
Definitely.
Bye.
Have a good one, everyone.
All right, dude.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one, man.
That's up.